There we go. So this is the solution to the warm-up, okay? Which is basically how do we cut DNA from a gene of interest. I'm calling this one the creamsicle gene. So we've talked about the green fluorescent protein gene glowing in the dark, and that's cool. But imagine we had a gene that could make a protein that could make anything taste like a creamsicle, all right? Which would be pretty cool. That might be a neat little application, right? You were talking about your onions and peppers you don't like, right? What if they tasted like a creamsicle or some other flavor that you really, really liked, right? That'd be kind of a cool little weird creative sort of application for this kind of thing, all right? And it can be done, which is kind of crazy. So if we look here, we have the creamsicle gene, and there's a very simple map that I made up. It's not a real gene, I just made it up. And we have our points. So what we need to do is have our calculators out because we're doing some subtraction and some addition, all right? Now, how big is the p-glow plasmid in total? This is why you needed your map. How big is that circular piece? How many letters of DNA is it long? Yeah, 5,371. You got it. Beautiful. 5,371 base pairs. Okay, cool. So you'll notice the little section down here that says MCS. Do you see that in the bottom right? Okay, kind of in the, I guess it would be sort of the 5 o'clock, between 4 and 5 o'clock position on the clock. Okay? MCS is short for multiple cloning site. That's a spot in a plasmid that's been engineered to put there so that we can splice in other genes. Okay? And what's upstream of it is the GFP, so that's the glow-in-the-dark gene, right here. Okay? And then we've got this gene over here. What's this gene do for the bacteria if you put it in bacteria? Nope. The opposite. What's that say it is? What's it say that it does? Ampicillin resistance. Right. So if I put this piece of DNA into a bacteria, what ability will it have now? What will it be protected against? What? That's right. Well, ampicillin. So ampicillin is like a cousin of penicillin, right? This wouldn't work on penicillin though. It's got to be ampicillin, right? We're going to see why that's important later. Okay? All right. So let's take a quick look here. So, what fragments would be produced if we used KPN1 and XBA1 to cut the creamsicle gene or the p-glow plasmid? Well, we can take a look at these one at a time. All right? So I'm just going to do a quick little screen capture of this guy. Got noisy, yeah? Okay. So, let's take a quick look. And we'll just lock that down. There it is. Okay, so if I have and send in my little enzyme that's going to cut KPN1, what color do we want KPN1 to be? Blue? Okay. So KPN1 enzyme is going to cut here. Okay, and we can put a little smiley face because that's where KPN1 bites. Okay, so we'll make KPN1 blue. Cool. What color would we like for XBA enzyme? Red? Okay. Take red. So there, right there, we can draw eyes and kind of a happy face because right in the middle there is where XBA1 is going to cut. So those are two different enzymes, and they scan the DNA looking for those sequences, and we don't even have to know what the sequences are, right? Because we can look them up online if we really needed them. But we don't. As long as we know that we got matching ends, we're good. Okay? So, fragments. Well, we can only give so much information. Now, let's just say hypothetically, and I'm going to add this to the problem, let's say that the gene length was 4,827 total. I forgot to add that. That was my mistake. But let's just do that now. Okay? So, how many fragments are we going to get when we've taken this one strand and we've nipped it twice? fragments are we going to get? 3, correct. Okay, so we go from, we'll say left end, so fragment 1, let's say left end to KPN1. Okay, so all we do for that is we go 68 minus 0 equals 68. Okay, so that fragment, I'll do these guys in highlighter just so you can see them, would be this little blob there. Sorry, I'm outside. Okay, to there. Now, creamsicle gene. Let's use orange highlighter for that. Okay, is going to go fragment 2, KPN1, all the way to XBA1. Okay. So our little yellow fragment is there. Fragment 2 is going to be KPN1 to XBA1. All right. Anyone want to shout out how we do this? How do I do this? This is the same as what we were doing the other day with the Lambda virus cutting. And you all made the gel out of that. So we're only using 2 cut sites but different enzymes. So how do we find out how big that orange fragment is? This guy here. The big piece, so-called. How would we figure that out? That chunk. What do you say? I think, Haley, you know. Yes. Yes. No? Yeah. So, shout out numbers. What numbers do I do? So if I want to get my total size for this orange fragment. Yeah, 4,623 minus 68 equals, sorry, I can't do this in my head. I'm just going to get my calculator out. You can too. 4,623 minus 68. And it'd be great if you were writing this down, because you probably won't remember it. It helps to write it down. Repetition. Okay. Here's how big for this piece. What'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get? Cool. 4,555. Okay, cool. That's going to be our fragment of interest, okay? So, on this end, what do we have? What kind of sticky end do we have? Which enzyme sticky end is on that left side? KPN1 or XBA1? Yeah, KPN1 sticky end. Okay? On this end, what sticky end do we have there? Yeah, XBA1. Beautiful. Cool. All right. So its total size is 4,555. But I'm going to do you one more, okay? Let me just clone this guy so you can actually see. Same fragment. But we have this site here of another enzyme. Right? Called SCA. SCA1. Now, its location then is 2358 minus 68. So this side here is 2,290 long. Which means this side here is 2,265 long. Okay? It almost cuts it in half, doesn't it? Is anyone confused about how I got those numbers? Yeah. You are? Okay, cool. So where's SCA1 on the map? What number? Yeah, 2,358, right? So if I subtract 68 from that, I actually get that number there. Sorry, it's starting to get messy. Okay? And then to get this one, I took 2,290 off of 4,000. So I went 4,555 minus 2,290 gives me 2,265. Okay? Follow? Good? Thumbs up? That's important. Okay? So the left side fragment of our bigger fragment, the left side is a little bit bigger than the right. Keep that in mind. Okay? Because that's going to come into play when we lay out our map later. Okay. All right, let me just sideboard this here. So 2,290 and 2,265. Okay. Here we go. Next step then. So that was for that creamsicle gene, right? But that was only question 1. So those are our fragments. Oh, sorry, we didn't do the end fragment, which should be really easy. It's fragment 3. Okay, fragment 3 is going to be X bar 1 to the right end of our piece. Okay, and that seems really sort of simple and not really a scientific way of expressing it. In fact, that is the way it is. So if you go on to the neb cutter, that's exactly how they're going to lay it out. It's really neat. Okay, so we would just take our total, which I gave you today, 4,827, subtract 4,623. What do we got for that guy? $204. Okay, and this one I'm going to use just use a blue highlighter. Kind of doesn't matter because we're not keeping that little blob there. Okay, obviously didn't draw this to scale. Okay, so that 204 piece is the left end or right end fragment. It's that middle chunk that we want because that contains our gene of interest. Okay, that's what we're going to put into the bacteria because we want that bacteria to make that substance that tastes like creamsicle. And because bacteria grow so fast, we can make a ton of that substance. And what if that substance had like a really, like everyone wanted to buy it, right? And you like put it into whatever. Good Axe body spray, creamsicle flavor, right? It actually works. Oh my god. Okay. All right, so let's look at this beast. Well, I'm just going to use the map that I've got. So what's cool about my little thing here is I can actually draw just actual circles here, which is cool. Let's make that one just a bit bigger, so a little more aesthetically pleasing. There. Okay. P-globe. All right. What color should I make those lines? I'll make them green, just because it's green, right? Is that good? There's teal. As you wish. Okay, cool. So our total then, our total size for this guy was 5,371. And that's the p-globe plasmid. And you have the actual proper map, as do I. So KPN1 was at 2,079, and in plasmid maps we put the numbers in brackets. All right, and then we got XBA1 a little bit further downstream of it. Okay, and that's at position 290. So, if I cut with these two enzymes, how many fragments am I going to make? Last time we cut with two enzymes, we got 3 fragments. But this is a different shape that we're cutting, isn't it? So how many fragments would I get? Right. Okay. Oh boy. Highlighter. There we go. All right, I'm going to just use the green because it's simple. This is the piece we want to keep. This little purple bit is the one that we're going to throw away. Everyone cool with that? Okay. Watch how I do this. Okay. Always don't deal with any fragments calculations when they're going through position 1, which is up here on the 12 o'clock. Okay. So here's how we do this first. First, we're going to figure out that little purple chunk that we want to take out. Okay. Any ideas how we do that? How do we figure out how big that piece is? I should hope we could subtract that in our mind. All right. Okay, so that chunk is going to be 11. Right? And that's going to be, we'll call that KPN1 to X bar 1. Okay, which means our bigger chunk, X bar 1 to KPN1, the big piece, which will be the green one, and I'll show you that in a highlighter. Boom. I'm not drawing that to scale, obviously. So how would we figure this out in the easiest way? Any ideas? This we could do in our heads too. I think you got it. Go for it. What do you say? Yeah. No, you're right, though, on the subtract 11. What are we going to take 11 off of? The whole, the total, right? Because we're taking that purple chunk out of the total. So we're going to go 5,371 minus 11. Gives us 5, 3, 6, 0. You got it. Okay. So now what we want to do is splice or patch together, right? Because, well, let's see here. If we're going left to right, and if I took this and I just unwound this, then that's the KPN1, or sorry, that's the XPA sticky end there. And that's KPN1 sticky there. So remember, if we have pieces of DNA and they have the same sticky ends, even if they're from different creatures, this one's from bacteria, where do creamsicle genes come from? Sure, we're going to genetically extract it out of ice cream. This is why it's not a real gene. That's why creamsicle flavor is actually a simulated flavor. You see? I don't really find it in nature. But let's say it's orange flavor, right? We could actually, let's say that there was a gene for orange flavor, or creamsicle flavor, we'll call it. I like creamsicles, it's just, reminds me of something. Whatever. Okay, so now, what have we got? Well, we've got, let me just draw these out. I've got this chunk here. And then I've got this fragment here. Right? Cool. So here's what I want to do. Let's see here. So this end here is going to be my KPN1. Right? That end there is going to be my KPN1. That end there is XBA1. And that end there is XBA1. Right? So far, so good. This piece is 5,360. This piece is 4,555. Okay? So what's going to happen is that when we put these together, that end is going to find each other, and they're going to go, hey, we match. Right? And keep in mind, this is a flexible string, So that means this end can coil around back on itself and connect to there. And those two guys are going to connect together. And we add in this little enzyme called ligase, which sounds like ligament, right? And that's going to paste them together to create what shape? A line or a circle? A circle. So we call that a recombinant plasmid. Why do we call it a recombinant? Because we're recombining DNA from two different species. All right? What's our total going to be? We're going to call this P-Glow Creamsicle. That's kind of a long name, isn't it? Okay. Let's shorten that up. P for plasmid, G for glow, C for creamsicle. Okay, so let's call our plasmid pGC. Okay? So when I created a plasmid, I called it, what was it called? PTF40. Because I had a plasmid, I had the tech promoter piece that I put in, and I had the FLT1 gene that starts with that, and then I had an SV40 thing on the end. So hence PTF40. Okay, so this is where they come up with these little short names. Okay, just rather than write out P. So we're going to call this pGC. Okay, so total size of, we're going to call it pGC for short, equals. Thank you. 9,915 base pairs. Now a base pair is obviously just two letters of DNA across from each other. A to T, G to C. Everyone's cool with that. We all remember that. Sweet. All right, so let's paste these dudes together. Now, here's what we can do. We can actually, to get a sense of their size, watch this. This is really neat. Okay? This is neat. So I'm going to go, what percent is my creamsicle gene of the total? How much does that take? How would we figure out the percentage total to draw it? Because when I draw a map, I like to draw it properly. What's that? No, we divide it by the total. So we go 4,555 divided by 9,915. Okay? That means that the creamsicle gene is about 45% of the size of our whole circle. So it's not quite half. Make sense? Okay, cool. Right on. And then that means that this size would be about 55% when we draw our final circle together. Okay? Everyone cool with that? All right. Now for the final map. This is kind of the real test of it. Okay? So we're going to draw a circle. I'm going to draw a general circle. Okay, my little circle drawing. Here we go. Here we go. Let's move this guy over here to about there. Okay, now, if we're talking about a clock, so we're going to call this plasmid now pGC. So P-Glow Creamsicle, and then we put its number, 9915 base pairs. So that's the way you lay them out. Okay, just like on your map for P-Glow, you see, we're going to do the same kind of format. Okay? Now, on this map, we're only going to put 3 enzymes. We're going to put the enzymes for KPN1, XBA1, but also we're going to include SCA1. Okay? Everyone cool with that? So far, so good. Okay. And what's going to be cool is that this will all be online. You'll be able to look at it later. Now, if we looked at our original P-Glow gene, KPN1 was showing up at position 2079, right? Right? Okay. So here's what we do. And this is kind of a nuanced point. We got to figure out where to lay out KPN1. This plasmid's bigger now, right? So if you look at your map of P-Glow, KPN1 is kind of down in that 4 o'clock position, or 4 to 5 position down here. But when I put a bigger piece in, that's going to kind of move it up, isn't it? So I'm going to figure out where on the clock to kind of lay that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, okay, 0 to 2097. So 2097, divided by 9915 is about 20%. 20%. Okay? So the way I look at it is just like a clock. If I think 12 o'clock is my 0, then 3 o'clock would be what percent of the clock? No, 3 o'clock? So from 12 to 3? 25%. So if I want about 20%, right? So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to come up a bit, and I'm just ballparking this. We're going to put KPN1 right there, and its number has not changed. So it's still 2097. Correct? Now, what percentage did I say? So this top side here is going to be the green part. So from KPN1 onward will be the orange part. Won't it? How big do I draw that? 45%. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pretend this is 12 o'clock, so I'm going to go straight across, which would be what percent if I went right across? That'd be 50. So I'm going to pull it back just a bit. And notice that I'm ballparking it. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you could take a protractor to this, but that could get tedious. Okay? But that there looks 45%-ish enough to me. Yes? Okay. So what enzyme goes here? Bless you. That's right. Now, XBA used to be at a position of 290, right? But we pulled that little 11 piece out, didn't we? And what did we pop in? How big a piece did we pop in instead of 11? 4,555. Okay? So how do we figure out what position XBA1 is at now? Just add 4,000. So think about it. From KPN1, which stays as it is, right? Crayon. Highlighter. I want to add some texture. Hey, a paintbrush. That's cool. Orange. Hey, that even looks creamsicle-ish. Look at this. Boom. Oh, I like that. That's kind of fun. So there's my creamsicle gene in there. That's 4,555. Right? So if we were starting at 2,079, and we've taken 4,555 steps in a circle, where are we at now? What position are we at now? What position? Like what number? I'm starting here at 2079. I take 4,555 steps. Where am I now? You need your calculator to do this. We don't need it, but it helps. What do you got? Yes? You got your phone. Go ahead. No. I started position 2079. I've already taken, so I'm starting there, right? From there to XBA, before we popped in this thing, it was only 11 steps away. Now it's 4,555 steps away. So where would I be at now if I've taken all those steps? Thank you. 6,634. Okay? How did I get that? Yeah, I just added. I went 2,079 plus 4,555. Now, we're going to lay out where that SCA piece is. Okay? So let's go back here to this map. Not that one, there. Okay? So from KPN1 to SCA was just past halfway, wasn't it? Okay? So if I go to my map here, and I look at that orange piece, and I kind of guesstimate about halfway. So from KPN1 to about halfway, just past halfway, it would be about there, let's say. And we've got a SCA piece there. Whoops. SCA, not SAC. There actually are enzymes called SAC. SCA1. All right, so from KPN1 to SCA, that looks a little too far. It's okay if you put it there. I'm going to back it up, though. Just ballpark. Say there. Okay. Big difference, right? SCA1. Now, that means that this piece is our 2290, which would mean this piece would be our 2265. Right? So far, so good? Okay. Do you see how this is all just a little bit of adding and subtracting? And cut and paste? Okay? This is genetic engineering, man. It's literally this simple. Okay? It's like pick your enzymes and cut the pieces and paste them together. Just like we did 2 weeks ago. 2 Fridays ago, that's literally what we did in this class. Is we took scissors and cut and paste and put them together. All right? But now we're doing a little bit more formal. And I had to, do you see how I had to walk you through that so this would actually make some sense, yes? Cool. All right. Now, take my old paintbrush out and let's paint that town green. So here we go. There's my green PBS Glow. I don't like that shade of green so much, but it's okay.
You know what it looks like?
Kind of more of a forest green, isn't it?
No, it looks like those popsicles.
Yeah. I know. That's the creamsicle. Yeah. Is that wild? So the painting actually looks like the creamsicle. Yeah.
No, like I'm thinking of creamsicle, like the one with the ice cream, like the ice cream.
Yeah.
But this looks like that popsicle.
Oh, like a proper popsicle.
Not the sucker.
Yes.
Sucker.
Oh, okay. That's what you mean. Yes. Okay. So now this piece here is our 5,360 piece, right? But we also have a SCA site there, don't we? Ah. Okay. And we have to map this out now too. Well, let's take a look. SCA 1 originally was at 2,942, right? So 2,942 minus 2090 gives us 852. Okay? 852 divided by 9915 is 8%, 10%. Okay, so let's say that's 12, 50, 25. So let's say about there. I don't really want to keep writing SAC. That's because of another plasmid. SCA 1 here, that's going to be 852. There. Okay? 5360 minus 852 is 4,508. Okay? So now we're going to go 6634 plus 852 tells us where the new SCA location is. No, that can't be right. I think I hit 8,000 by accident. So 852 plus 6634, 7,486. Okay? So that's our new map of a brand new plasmid if you've created it from scratch. Okay, from those pieces. All right. Now that you've got that, here's the next set of questions. And we'll save this for the next video.